Hello, and welcome back to Deep Balls with Brandon Rogers. Today, we're going to be talking about shitty jobs and dreams. Not the kind when you're asleep, but dreams, the kind you project your future, the desired utopia of your life, whatever you hope to be when you become an adult. That's your dream, and I'm joined with my co-host.
No, sorry. Listen to
that right there. If you're saying, "Hey, that's a familiar voice," well, that's how. Well, you won't be wrong. That is Puerto Rican cameraman Gabriel Gonzalez. He films my videos.
I do these things.
He is a great guy. He's a really good guy. He's drinking a coffee right now. You know,
slurp.
There we go. And right over to my right, we have one of the most lovely Jonathans I've ever known. He's one of my producers.
That might be true.
Well, here's the truth. He's a producer unlike any other I've ever worked with, and I'm lucky to have him on today's episode. Jonathan Hinman, everyone.
Thank you. You both are too kind.
Whoa.
Take it down a notch.
All right. I was just telling the guys and gals at home that we're going to be talking about shitty jobs and dreams, but not the kind of dreams that you have when you're asleep. No. These are the dreams that your future holds. What will you be when you go? And so,
important topic.
A very important topic, and I feel like a lot of our young viewers might hopefully have something to gain from this.
That they still have them.
Yeah. Well,
you still have your dreams, and it's very important to hold on to your dreams because sometimes it's all one has, you know. Yeah. And Jonathan, when you were, let's say, in high school, 15, 16 years old, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you were an adult?
I mean, by the time, when I was 15, it was still possibly an Air Force pilot. And by the time I was 16, it was definitely an actor. Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's rewind back a little bit. We need to know where did the switch happen? So Air Force pilot.
Well, I still want to be a pilot. I still want to get my pilot's license. It's just not what I want to do. Yeah, actually, you know what happened is, I forget where 9/11 placed in my realization of that, but I realized, because I came from a military family. My mom and dad were military. My grandpa was military, and plenty of lots of military people. And I realized that I really hate authority. I just seen enough movies where they're like, some guys like, for the cause and for this. And they're like, okay, Mr. Cannon Fodder. Right. And I was just like, whoa, that shit resonates with me. And I just realized that, like, wait a minute, I'm going to put my life on line. Not to say that, and I mean nothing against troops, but I realized that I'm not the kind of person that can just say, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the grand strategy is, but go ahead and use my life as part of the strategy without knowing what the fuck is really happening. Like I cannot do that, and I refuse. And so that was the main thing that said, nah, actually, I'm never going in the military. And
this epiphany happened when you were about 15?
Yeah, around there. I don't know. I actually want to say that 9/11 didn't factor into it.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh no, now I'm really thinking about it. But maybe it did. I honestly can't remember. But I just was like growing up and realizing, like, I had more encounters with real authority that like challenged me in a way that I really didn't like. Because I moved around every year, and I think that when I finally stopped moving around, I experienced like long-term authority because no one was consequential until I was there for a couple of years, and I was like, I hate having to listen to you. And I'm still having to listen to you. I hate listening to people like that.
Interesting. So as a teenager, you got a fresh look at authority. Like as such a young person, you're like, oh, this is sudden, these long-term consequences, this shit.
You say you
do what you're told? Hate that.
You were living in bases.
I was,
throughout the United States.
Frequently living on bases. Not always, but yeah.
So then you wanted...
which is a different... I feel like there's little countries inside... I mean, that's what I've seen when I see a base of the U.S. in another foreign country. Where it's a different place.
Right, yeah.
Different rules, different everything.
And a different culture from... Like, base culture in Fairbanks, Alaska, and base culture in San Antonio, Texas are very similar, unlike everything right outside the base.
Right.
Damn. So then at 15 years old, you have this a profound, enlightening epiphany, and you decide it's life altering. Literally, you literally decide it pinballs you into another direction. So then why? Yeah, exactly. Gabriel's got it on the money. You asked the question.
Why
acting? Why acting?
Damn. It's a good question, and it's a mix of I was so introverted, and this acting was like the excuse that I had to feel so outwardly, and that was a cathartic experience for me. And it was also a way of like, I'm going to be honest, like being noticed and feeling like I feel too. Like I felt like I was, now I'm thinking about it in hindsight, but I think I repressed so much and just was so introverted and inward. It was like, I need this release where like, and I'm down to share this in this context. It's not me. It's 1 degree removed from me. It's safer. But like, it was a, like on one hand, kind of a need to be seen, like all art is, I think. But on the another hand, it was like a very necessary cathartic experience to be allowed to feel. It was like the only way that I would let myself feel something big in a way.
Right. And you get to live vicariously as another person and get to exhibit their emotions and their feelings, which can be very stress relieving, not having to be Jonathan Hinman all the time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even just to like in another way, you have an excuse to be curious about another person's journey. Like it's like, it actually helps you not feel alone, I think, because you start to like realize, whoa, John Proctor has this crazy ass journey, and like I feel, and everyone's done the Crucible, I know, but still,
wonderful name.
But just like any character, you realize that you have a lot in common with a fictitious character based on real.
But wait a minute, when was the first actual experience that you had to act? Like, how did you even learn that you like to do that?
A long time ago as a kid, somewhere in like community theater.
So it was always kind of like knowing that you kind of liked it. You just didn't think you would do it.
Correct. I'd done it for a long time. Like my mom introduced me to it. I can't remember exactly how, but like she acted in like local theater, and so yeah, I did a little bit of that. And then
is this because you just so it just seems like acting, musicians, mainly them two. It seems like everybody, maybe because our circles are like, is this everyone now? Because I'm in LA, so it just seems like it's everyone.
It is everyone in LA.
If we were to go to the other places across America, would they still have those hidden desires?
I don't. I went to school. I grew up in Livermore, California. Which those of you who don't know Livermore, which was pretty much everyone, it's a very agriculturally driven town. Like there was a lot of like I remember in high school, like one of the like in most high schools you have the jocks, the cheerleaders, the whatever, the goth or whatever scene, emo, whatever the fuck. There's different cliques. There was in our school there was like the ag crowd. That was
ag, wait, time out. Ag, I don't know that one. Aggressive?
Yeah, agriculture.
Oh, agriculture.
But they all they called it ag. Like, yeah, we're the ag group.
Agriculture.
Cool.
Yeah. What does that mean?
That means they wore burly, like giant beige jackets with khakis and jeans and shit and walked
that style.
And they would we had our high school literally had a farm as part of it. Like, because we taught
as
agriculture.
In like next to the track and field.
Exactly. Right next to the track and field. I'm not even kidding. There's like the track in the field, and then there's literally a barn with like hens and chickens, and there's like livestock everywhere. And that, because Livermore was like, there's a lot of, and the cities surrounding Livermore are all very farm towns. So it's like, a lot of the people going to school, like a lot of my friends, their parents were farmers. And so like, I grew up around a lot of people who they looked at acting like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is acting?
So you're saying this is not a common thing, that most people do not want to be actors?
I genuinely think so. I think that because we live in Los Angeles, everyone here that you meet is an actor or wants to. If you want to be something in LA, you just introduce yourself as that thing. Yeah, like no one ever says, I want to be.
Even like an agent secretly at one point wanted to write a script or some shit. Like even if you're not doing it, somehow you do want it.
Right. Yeah. I think that everyone out here, like 90% of the people we meet,
which is why it distorts my perception, because it's just like, is it just that everybody thinks they can do this stuff?
Well, I think everybody.
Not to say that Jonathan couldn't. By the way, and it's not what it's just. I just feel like
I didn't. I was not taking it there.
I am, because I didn't want to. Just in case other people
know that. I think they're insinuating
but it's just like it's interesting that like the dreams are like that. There's so many people want to.
And I think also that entertainment is interesting. I was hearing John Waters the other day was saying that he thinks everyone that isn't in entertainment is sad because they're not in entertainment.
Interesting. I look at my sister. She was so good at acting. She was such a good actress. I remember when I was a kid, I went to see her in high school. She was in a high school play, and she was so cool. So it was so. I thought and I really admired it. And I think that if you were to ask her in a secret corner, like, did you ever want to? And I think she did. Like I remember, even in high school. So at the end of the yearbook where they say like most likely to whatever.
Oh yeah.
My sister's was most likely to be on SNL.
Really?
Can you imagine that? And then now you see my sister Dane. She works at a corporate office, manages buying for like Marshalls and TJ Maxx or whatever.
And 9 people from her high school were on SNL.
Yeah, 9 people. Nobody believes. But it's like I know that there was a creative thing inside of her, and I wonder, is like, did she ever wonder what that would have been like? You know?
Look at how much film and entertainment is a part of our life since the day we're born. We are raised with Disney movies. We're raised with, television and comedy sitcoms. Entertainment they're like pastries. It's just everyone loves them, But so we when we want to go in, I mean, it's just natural human instinct to want to be a part of that. Like, at least for me, it is. But then I don't know. Like I said, there's people I grew up with who just TV. All that TV is to them is just something to turn on when they come home while they cook dinner.
Well, even if they don't realize it, I think that like a human's sense of belonging and understanding of family relationships and the self and their own life journey and their country and all the things that make up their identity comes from stories and their experiences. And I think that, TV and movies are like, we don't sit around a fire and listen to stories. We just get our stories from media.
Right.
So it shapes all that.
I mean, when it comes to dreams, I think that everyone's dream is different. I mean, I've been fortunate enough. Most of the settings I've lived in my life were pretty diverse. And so I've been around different people who are heading in different directions. And I can come to respect where people want to take their lives.
I don't necessarily agree with John Waters, but it's an interesting fact.
I think that like one of the most important things in life is just happiness and what that means. Like I used to go back home after our YouTube channel blew up, and we you go back home to your hometown and you kind of feel like a rock star because you have a sudden level of notoriety that you didn't have when you moved away. But
you're not talking about me.
Well, Jonathan, here's the thing. But no, I remember thinking like my first initial thought was like, look, that guy used to pick on me, and look at him. He's now working, at a bar at like 2 p.m. to like pay for his kids and I used to kind of almost look down on that. But then after a while, I've come to the realization that like it's people like them that have kind of cracked life, because if they truly, because some people just love having their family and their close circle of friends and people to have a beer with after work and just like, go to.
Right.
But are there peaks high in the sense that like, is there a certain, they're happy, but there is no like achievement, and so they don't know that feeling.
Well, I mean,
I don't want to say achievement. That's a very strange word.
But meaning subjective.
Achievement is only implied if whether or not that person wants to achieve anything further.
Absolutely, and maybe ignorance is but they don't even know.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So in a way, I envy people like that. The whole, which I think is
who
just
can find happiness in the mundane.
Right, exactly. And I feel like we just have to.
Did I just say that?
Right, and I feel like
this is sounding actually kind of judgmental, but I think it also reflects. Do
you know what? No, because
it
I do
reflects
judge
the limited perspective that we have. Like how can we not view that in that way and have made the choices with our life that we did? Not to say that anyone else's different choices are wrong. It's just we have a limited perspective.
When I say the mundane thing, what I really mean by that is that I wish you. I do when we worked at the law office and other jobs I had before. It was really hard for me. It really did feel soul sucking.
But I'm not talking about people like us. You and I always had our heads toward the skies. Like we always had.
But that's where I'm saying when I heard Jonathan say I want to be an actor, it's like I relate to that because I wanted to be a musician, and I also was making videos with you, and I never saw these things.
Right.
But I believed it. They would be amazing to do. And then, but I was working in the real world, which is really hard. For me, it was. And then I see these other people who I call it mundane, where they're working at these offices, but they don't have the same sadness over it. And it's like, I'm sorry, to me, it sucks. That office job is hard. But if you can find happiness in it, man, I'm kind of jealous.
Well, I mean, a lot of the people that I grew up with, like I said, their end game is to have a wife and kids. Like that's the end game.
I know, right?
And so what I'm saying is like, I mean, that's not your end game. That was not my end game. That's not job.
Or even if it is a part of your end game, it come about it in a different way. Like I'm not interested in having kids as a young man. I want kids as an old man.
But what I'm saying is when you get to a certain point in your life where you're happy with everything you you have, then that's bliss. You can't judge someone for being like, oh, well, they're not wanting to achieve more. They're not wanting to go to college.
Right. I'm not judging them. Totally. I hope it doesn't come across like that. I am not.
And I don't know. I figured just if we're talking about dreams, like we definitely have to bring up like dreams are only they only manifest in the eye of whoever is whoever is going after this. It's like a dream to you could be nothing to me, and vice versa.
Right. And in a way, you have to be like some degree of unhappy with whatever you're doing in order to like. Otherwise, what is the dream? What you have right now? That's one thing, not two.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the friends back home, you could argue, a lot of people I grew up with haven't gone very far. But when I visit them, I'm still very close with a lot of the people I grew up with when I was a kid. When I visit them, I just see how happy they are with their kids and like just in their families and their friends, and just they're having a good life. And I'm like, damn, I wish I could be that happy.
I just don't know, because those are moments that you're having in rare instances of like you're with your friends and you're going out and you're seeing each other after a while, so it's going to bring out a happier thing. But you don't know what it's like when they get into their room.
That is true.
Close those doors and be like, what?
What's funny is I feel like more of the population is like that than we think, because when we do the meet and greets with the shows, people will open up big time on stage and they're like, most people think I'm fine at school, but I'm really depressed and I come home and I watch your videos and so on and so forth. Yeah. But like I hear that so often.
I hear that when people come up to you and saying that all the time.
And it's actually very interesting, because I feel like maybe it's too many.
Yeah.
The fact that we can call it out on so many times that we have heard someone say that you saved my life. I would have killed myself without these. Well, videos. I mean, or versions of it. It's very sad.
But what I'm saying is that like,
and I think it highlights the importance of work, honestly.
But the crazy thing is that if I was to walk in that room, like whenever I step out on stage and I see everyone, there's no way in hell I'd guess that like a good chunk of these people are going through depression problems, because they all look happy. They're all excited. They're clapping and they're cheering, and it's like, you're at a show, you're here to have a good time. But it's like, this is just a reminder, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to a restaurant, you go to a football game, wherever, just everyone you see around you is probably going through some shit.
There's a few suicidal people in that room.
Oh my God. Like seriously, it's depression is like a very, very real thing, and we don't.
So you're not alone. You're not alone, and that's a very difficult thing to know.
I just wish wish we learned more about it when we were in school. But I don't know. I think that depression can have a huge weight on people, like chasing their dreams and chasing their ambitions. You have this vulture on your shoulder, essentially telling you, "Nope, stay home. You're not going to do it well. You're not going to achieve it well enough." And then to this day, I deal with it every time I try and write a script. There's someone on my shoulder. I only have like a devil. I feel like I don't have an angel on the other shoulder. I only have, it's not even a devil, it's a fucking vulture, and he tells me, like every time I try and write something, he's like, they're not going to like it, that's not going to be funny to them, that's not going to work. And I end up for days working on like a video that's like 2 minutes long, because I just keep doubting. So I can only imagine, if someone's like dreaming of coming to Los Angeles and starting anew, having that voice could be really detrimental. A lot of people don't go because they just...
And you gotta kill that vulture. Like you got to do everything, like
maybe strangle it.
Yeah, and maybe it's a lifelong battle, but you got to do everything you can to just get it away from you. Yeah. Not just like running, but like deal with it if you can. And if you can't, then just like tell them to shut the fuck up, and you can talk tomorrow or something.
At least to the point that and not to put you on the spot, Brandon, but that is something that I've always admired in you, that you don't allow your negative self-talk to stop you from doing it. We always finish the project. We always get it done. We always don't. There's no excuse not to do it, and that is actually
that's like everything.
It's everything.
Yeah,
because a lot of people would have felt these things and not done it because their voice of "I can't do it," they're not going to like it, is stronger than their will to do it, and that's.
Sometimes deadlines can help, because, like, for instance, we have a shoot this Saturday. We have a shoot in like five days, and we have actors on reserve. We have a lot of pieces set in motion, so we're shooting it one way or another. Which, as the writer, it's like okay, well, better crank out something.
But possibly somebody depressed would be like, call them up. We're not doing it.
Oh,
right. They're gonna find a way not to do it.
But I
don't have the right camera. I don't have the right lens.
A deadline isn't what works necessarily. Right. It's saying fucked out. That is the key.
No, it's and you know what? Honestly, like sometimes that, like, I still won't have an idea good enough right before we go into shooting, and on this right when we're in the middle of filming, sometimes we'll come up with something that's, oh, that's genius. And people quote it all the time in the comments. And it's like, that was something we just pulled out of our ass right at the last minute.
Right.
When we
thank God we just started doing it.
Right.
Like,
thank God we just did it. Thank God we didn't let that doubt overwhelm us and just not do it.
Right.
I guess.
And also, we also get to live it with each other. So when one of us is down, the other one hold each other up. Jonathan's hilarious, like always good lines every night. So it's like,
we have we keep things playful at all the right times.
So if one of us is struggling, it's like, all right, let's pick it up. The other guys will pick it up.
Yeah, no, it's very. We work like it's clockwork.
It's nice to have a team.
But you know what? This is weird because I feel like if I knew that this job existed, if I knew that what I'm doing right now was an option when I was a kid, this would have probably been my dream. I'm not kidding.
It's so true.
It's just when I was a kid, this didn't exist.
No.
What I wanted to be when I was a kid is I wanted to be on SNL or I wanted to be on Mad TV. Really, Mad TV was what I wanted
Mad
to be
TV
on.
Was so. By the way, if any of you guys have never checked out Mad TV because it was off TV, go and look at it. It's hilarious. I think
not the reboot. They rebooted it like a few years ago. It was terrible. Check out like the shit from like, I want to say like 2001, right around that era of like 2001 when like Eminem was coming out with like his newer stuff. It's like,
okay. Yeah. I don't know what years it was, but I just know that show was amazing. Sorry. Go on. You were talking. Go.
Like that was my dream. But then if I knew that like, well, you can have millions of people watch you on the internet doing whatever you want, writing whatever you want, playing whoever you want. And you get to work with your friends. You don't have to have a company over your head. You get to just, you get to have a podcast and you get to show up at your friend's house and talk about stuff once a week for an hour for fun. It's like
even a podcast. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a thing.
But just if I had to outline my whole life, what I do now between the live shows, between just everything, the Instagram, everything, and like present it to myself when I was a kid, I feel like the child version of me would be like, well, fuck this current dream. I want to do that.
Well,
and
congratulations.
And I feel like very lucky because kids these days they say you ask like was it your cousin?
Yeah, I have to tell that one because this one was a big eye opener for me. So Brandon right now was just saying that when he was a kid, these didn't even exist as dreams. So you ask a kid, what do you want to be? Impossible that they say this, but my cousins they have a lot of kids, or all have a nice beautiful family and I'll ask them, like, whoa, what do you want to be? And two of them responded with a YouTuber. Yeah. That they want to be a YouTuber when they grow up. And they don't even know what they don't know that I work in any of this. But that blew my mind. I was like, wait a minute, that's now an option? And that a little kid will say that before being, what was it, like baseball player?
It's looked at as a career.
It's looked at as a career. Wow.
And that's insane. Well, and to very few, it is. It does become.
No, but to them, it's as real as baseball. It's as part of their reality as a teacher.
Why shouldn't it be? We have these kids nowadays. We give them these cell phones and they watch we give them YouTube, put it in front of their face, and then we wonder why they want. And honestly, it's not a horrible thing. It's just a different form of entertainment. Is it really?
We wanted to be actors when we were watching television.
We watched TV. The only difference between kids now and us then was that they got to take their they get to take their phone with them, and we had to stay at home and watch this planted box that had only 12 options on it. So we were getting real educated, I'm sure. I don't know. I do like that nowadays there's like access to information. If kids need to look it up, they can I don't know. I wish I had this kind of database when I was growing up. Just any answer.
I debate that. Did we get lucky? Because we got to get it when our minds were, I don't know. We'll see in the future, I guess. But I do find it fortunate that we got to grow up a little bit distant from technology before it became
maybe I'm not necessarily talking about technology. I just mean the access to information. Like when I was a kid, I was a very curious kid, and I remember I hated going to the library. I hated how hard it was to find an answer to something. And I know that if I was a kid and the internet was around, I would have just been Googling shit.
And there was only one source to that answer. It's like, okay, so the encyclopedia is telling me this, but nowadays we have.
Well, that's interesting. I just have one thought about that, which is that you got to be your own search engine, and you got the opportunity to evaluate what source of information you trust. It was like, do I go to the library? Do I have to check out books on it? Do I have to go to look at the encyclopedia? Is mine too old? I need a newer encyclopedia, etc. All these interesting questions, but it did put the the level of truth and satisfaction of the answer in your hands, whereas. I mean, people, I think, are experiencing that again, but I think only recently because for a long time it was like whatever Google says. Like I'm just trusting sites.
Right.
But do we still question, or just have we conglomerated around like certain sources?
That's what I'm saying. Is that we now it's like you just accept the answer that the internet gives you, and it's actually really difficult to find it. You know.
Yeah, we still live in that, right? Like now, I feel like it's harder to see the truth.
Well, I guess if you're looking for like the, you know, what is the element in the bond of the chemical of, I'm not talking about that shit. I mean like how to tie a tie and how to like, what is the recipe for this kind of shit.
Got you.
You know, it's like,
do you know that tie video is
how to
when we worked at the law firm, for example, or any job that had a tie, I'm like slow or some shit. I would watch that video. In fact, I would undo the tie just enough to take it around my neck, you know? Like hook it up on
no one would ever undo the tie completely.
No, but then if you do that...
If you did, you're a fucking psychopath.
But it ruins your tie, because if you leave it like that for like a month or two, it's like,
you gotta undo the tie the whole way.
Yeah, destroys it. No, we're crazy.
I would just leave it like that and just have an adjustable neck loop that I'd a noose that I put on myself every day before I kill myself slowly at the office. But no, I love, I just love how accessible knowledge is. Like, there are so many times that I didn't have to go to a doctor because I just typed in symptoms like, oh, try this remedy. And then it cleared up.
I already knew I had cancer.
I already knew. So then I went and bought a pack of cigarettes, celebrated. No, I think the internet is a wonderful thing. And if anyone in this room disagrees with me, they're a shitty person.
Yeah. Then write to us at deepballswithbrandonrogers@gmail.com.
But
is it deepballswithbrandonrogers@gmail.com?
It is.
Jesus Christ.
Brandon Rogers.
That's a fucking long-ass email.
Well, we want to make sure that our business card is the biggest one out of everyone's.
Like, hi, here's a
our
business card. Please share it with 20 other people.
What is that? We never asked you. Gabriel, when you were a kid, a teenager roughly, what did you want to be when you were older?
I wanted to lead the revolution.
Lead the revolution? What the fuck hipster shit is that?
No, that was real.
Okay.
I actually didn't know I could do anything, because when I was growing up, I wasn't like I wasn't a painter. I didn't like, not that I didn't like school, but I just didn't do good at it. But this, not to sound cliche, but I didn't know what I could do.
Right.
So I just knew that I didn't like the world around me. I just thought it was a sick world that we're forced to live in. And that, like, okay, so I'm in school. They're telling me that I have to be good in school to do good in the rest of my life. Okay, well, I'm not doing good in school. I don't know what I want to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the world's sick. So you know what I want to be? I want to fucking be one of the leaders in the revolution. I was going to be like, this might sound crazy, but you didn't realize how serious I am. I really did fantasize like that. Where I'd be like walking through like university and being like, one day they're going to look back and see where I studied. Like create like fantasies like in my head, like complete fantasies where I was like, one day people are going to come to me to try to figure this out together. That this is a sick world. That like we need to acknowledge it, and that they're going to remember it. And, crazy, totally crazy.
That's amazing,
insane.
And you're also, you're doing that right now.
Well,
you you have a different version of leading the revolution, right? Yeah, but the point is that you're still focusing on pointing out what's wrong with the world and doing what you can to fix it. Sometimes
I don't think I'm doing anything to try to fix it. Because here's the thing that demotivated. So that dream was not my dream now. And you know what? Meeting other people like that. Like I remember at one point I was in Santa Cruz, California, and I met a lot of people who just like, the system, and then I'd see like their like who they are and what they wanted to do to fix it, and I was like, oh wait. So it's broken, but we have no real solution to it. Like, or at least I didn't have any. And the people that I met were too extremes, and I was like, "Oh God, fuck revolution! We just got to fix this."
You had your own idea of what a revolution was in your head, and when you saw the reality of what people were actually doing, leading a revolution, it seemed quite not as great.
And I was like, as long as we have food, shelter. It's not going to be like the revolutions of the 60s that were like people were like holding up guns and changing the way. It's like,
Right. Okay.
Well, no, because that's what they would say. They were like, we need to, like, armed resistance and stuff like that. Some of these kids that I would meet. And I was like, what the fuck? You're going to kill people? Jesus.
Holy shit, I guess is my reaction. Like, where were you? Who were you hanging out with?
Santa Cruz. And,
you're in Santa Cruz with people that wanted to have armed uprisings?
Yeah, sorry. I knew kids. And maybe I shouldn't say all of them, but I knew kids who, like, would look at the Anarchist Cookbook or whatever. Which is I don't know if I should even mention that kind of stuff, but it's just strange that kind of information's out there. And when you're at a school that's very, it has a lot of that type of tendency where people like to think of the world around them in the sense of, like, it's wrong. And then they think that they're going to, like, change it somehow. It just had that type of personality.
Right. No, I know.
And I knew kids that thought blowing up things would be a good remedy to things.
Wow. That's very scary.
Yeah.
That's
but
scary.
They didn't do it.
Well,
cool.
But okay.
But the conversation, but the conversation was just as genuine as, like, as anything. So, like, my God,
they're only not good if they actually went through with it.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
But why? I mean, you think about it. It could be like Fight Club.
Fight Club. Why are you coughing?
Don't ask me questions.
Why are you coughing, Gabriel? Give me that. Jonathan, I'm gonna start coughing in a second here, so you take over for a moment. Talk about what was your first?
No. I'm gonna finish this thought.
Okay, you ready?
Fight Club. If you're gonna lead, they blew up buildings. It's not like there's a lot of ways to cause destruction without, like, necessarily.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Huh. There's so much. There's so much going on.
I'm gonna
here.
back out real quick.
Yeah. Like I can't. Oh my God.
We're changing too many subjects.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All done.
All right. Everyone cough. Everyone cough. If you're at home, go ahead and cough right now. 1, 2, 3.
Goddamn flu. I don't know what it is. Well, what was, Jonathan, your very first job?
Well, hang on. Sorry, with this shitty jobs and dreams.
Oh yeah.
Shitty jobs and dreams. Gabriel wanted to lead a revolution, and then saw that the path that he was envisioning was too violent.
Right.
That I can totally understand.
Yeah.
And I do think I'm gonna hold to this a little bit more, that your life is still about that. Like, all of our life, like, every character, Brandon, is a horrible, horrible person, and is a parody of real people. In one way or another, whether or not it's all one person or an amalgamation. It's
every video is full of corrupt people.
Yeah, horrible things, and you shine a light on them, and that's what this is all about. So I know that maybe you're not as politically active as you'd like or something. That there's of course more that we could do to, like, right the wrongs of this world. But I'm still saying that's like your version of the revolution is saying this content is a big FU to plenty of institutions and establishments and people.
I do, yeah.
I think that's good.
There is a rebellious quality to the channel. There have been times where we've where we've made videos strictly out of my own personal what do you call it? Like revenge kind of drive. Like almost like a vendetta that I had. Like the Grandpa Hates London. We went to this convention 2 years in a row, being like one of the biggest YouTube channels to attend, and they wouldn't acknowledge our presence both years. And we told them we were coming. We told them, like, is there anywhere we can do, like, it was this whole mess. And so, like, I remember feeling like kind of like, well, what the fuck. And then we just did the Grandpa video, which I think we talked about a couple weeks. Yeah. But yeah, that was like a feeling of, like, rebellion. That felt like when I was running in my underwear through that crowd of people, it felt like a big middle finger to whatever establishment didn't acknowledge us that year. And
by the way,
shout out to someone and say we love you.
Yeah.
But that's not the only time either. There's times when, like, I hate it when people stare. Like, just in general, when I'm feeling insecure and I go to a store and, like, someone's staring at me standing in the line, I get really, really insecure even further. So when I play a character and I go in public, it's such a cathartic experience to just, like, I'll give you something to stare at, and then it, like, makes me want to do something even wilder, because I'm like, look at this. Like, I don't know. It does every now and then feel nice to do the videos, because it is kind of like a good way to get some bad juju out. It's like I don't know. It's like exercising.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I think that's a lot of creation.
Yeah,
where you're creating something, it's addressing something real in your soul.
Exactly. And so, I don't know.
Even if it's tiny, it's like a tiny, like even if you're just like, oh, I just made like, I don't know, like a little drawing and put it on my fridge. Like if even a small thing that is still addressing something in you,
inside
that's
of
a fact.
you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh God, I used to love that when I was a kid. I used to love finding ways to express myself. Like I would draw all the time, and then I would like make comic books and with stories with people. Sometimes, and then my parents got me my first computer. It had Microsoft Word, and I would type like short stories with
just type anything, just letters.
Yeah, just I would just bang my head on the keyboard. But like, no, I just loved when I was a kid. I was so lucky to be a 90s kid because we had all these ways of expressing ourselves. And like, I don't know, I felt like the 90s were just a really creative era to grow up in. And you know, I mean, I remember like going to school and there was just like fucking paints everywhere. And like, we got to watch Magic School Bus and Bill Nye the Science Guy for science class. And like,
I love the smell of a good 90s elementary school built in the 70s.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's got Play-Doh, it's got old Macs.
It is a distinct smell.
Old Macs. I remember that was a special thing. That wasn't common to see in a house. That was a school thing. Where you'd see those little egg-shaped things with the color.
Or the different colored the Macs that were
in a portable. It's got to be in a portable.
They took away that shape now. Right now it's all flat screen.
It's all flat. But there was an era where all Mac products were like very fluorescent and very curvy.
But for some reason, not respected as like entertaining PC or computers to have.
Right.
You know, it was like made specifically for, I don't know. It just seemed like everyone had PCs, Windows.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, all the business, everyone had business. Macs were like for creative endeavors and stuff like that.
Now especially,
But it's funny because like every like most media companies that we walk into, they're on Macs or places that it's like I see more Macs now than I ever have before.
Yeah. Been hip for 25 years.
Oh God, very hip. But no, I did not always. I was not always this lucky to be doing these YouTube videos.
I'm curious, Brandon. What did like shitty jobs teach you?
Shitty jobs teach. What did shitty jobs teach me?
What did shitty jobs teach you? I think is the question.
Well, they taught me to enjoy life at 2:00 in the afternoon. Here's why. When I worked at the law firm, one of the old employees there, he and I would go for drives at lunch. We worked the exact same shifts. We'd have lunch at the exact same time, and he and I would go for a drive. And every now and then we'd take a late lunch. Our boss wouldn't know when we'd be gone too long, and so we would sometimes take a 2-hour lunch, whatever. And sometimes
insane, by the way.
Sometimes lunch would bleed into the afternoon, into 2
really
p.m.
Romantic.
And we would drive. Thank you. We would drive at like around 2 p.m. and see people outside walking their dogs or just listening to music, not really having anywhere to be, And so we would always call them the 2 p.m. assholes because it was like, this motherfucker gets to just stroll around at 2 p.m. while the rest of America is working in a fucking cubicle. And I suddenly had a new vision of what success meant to me. Success to me was finding a way to be a 2 p.m. asshole, to find a life where at 2 p.m. in the afternoon I could just go for a walk and not be in an office. And so shitty jobs, like there were a lot of inconveniences and uncomfortable moments working shitty jobs, but by far what I've taken away from all that experience is the appreciation to be free at 2 in the afternoon and have nowhere you need to be.
Yeah, you're like
it's a great quality of life.
The thing that I learned most is that I would prefer not to be there.
It really taught me that I wanted to not
a
have
day
to
that
do
I'm
it.
not doing what I'm doing right now.
But I also think that's true. But I think it's a good. I mean, I don't know how much of a pivot this was for you, but to view the success in terms of quality of life.
That's exactly it. It just taught me like it's the same thing that high school it just what school taught me. It was like you look outside the window and you're like, God, I wish I was outside enjoying life. And when you finally get to be able to live a life where you make a living while still being able to enjoy just the day.
If I were to walk around at 2:00, which I do, I often, if I get a look. If I feel insecure about that, where I see somebody like in a suit and they're clearly on like a lunch thing,
right.
I feel like when they look at me, they probably think, Get a job.
That's what I think too.
What are you doing, buddy?
Like when I go to Starbucks,
smoking your hookah.
Sometimes I'll go to Starbucks at like lunchtime when all the business, and the place that I live, it's all business, all buildings and all that. So it's all just people on their lunch breaks filling up the line at Starbucks. So when I'm waiting in line with them, I feel the same way. I'm like there in my shorts and a t-shirt, and like they look at me. They look at me. Yeah, exactly. I know what they're thinking when they look at this guy, this jobless guy. He probably lives right around the corner, which I do.
Still live at home, buddy.
Still live out. Exactly. I know what I look like, motherfucker. But then it's what's extra frustrating is like I will bet you I'm living a happier life than you are. Like fucking like you
possibly,
don't possibly, but still like when people when I see people that, oh God, I don't want to like shoot myself in the foot here by saying this, but I don't know, like when I go to downtown LA and I see people who have like these corporate jobs that I'm sure paying a lot of money and they're very, very well off. I see, but it's also like that's what you have to swim in for 40 hours a week is like downtown LA where everyone's an asshole and every line is long when you're allowed to go out, which is only like, 3 times a day, and it's like they cannot. Like that's a life that I worked really hard to escape from. Gabriel worked really, like we both struggled to get out of that. And so, yeah, it does feel weird.
But it goes back to what people can take and how much of it they can take.
Yeah, it's like, where's the balance for you? Yeah. And it's interesting, and it changes.
And we don't have that balance, by the way. That's why we find it. That's why it hits us so hard.
Right.
When we think of the 2 p.m. people, it's like, that's a thought that comes from someone who doesn't want to be in an office at 2 p.m.
And there are plenty of people that you're like looking at right there that are with you in that moment who are like, oh no, I fully know what I'm doing and am very happy with my decisions. It's like, wow, amazing.
No,
exactly.
Yeah, going back to what I said, everyone's definition of happiness is different. No, totally. I think that it became very apparent that Gabriel and I knew that we wanted something very similar when we knew it. Like working with him, I was like, okay, we both don't want to work here, right? Like that was very clear.
You guys
and then once that was established, it's like, okay, so we're both okay with taking a long line. Okay, so we're both okay with getting high in the parking lot. Okay,
I know we totally did that.
We're both
at a law firm. Every now and then
at a law firm, but like eventually, and so it's like eventually we just kind of realize, okay, we're both clearly like our heads are in the same place here with what we want.
Even when I see photos of you guys at the law firm, I've seen a couple photos. You guys look like 2 peas in a very different pie.
Oh yeah,
you're just like wow, look at those 2 peas.
We kind of they put us in a back room. They put us in a back room where none of the clients could see us, and
which I preferred, by the way.
Yeah,
because that meant I was also away from everyone else too.
And like, no one would casually pass by your desk. It really was like behind the IT guy's office in the very far back. Like it wasn't on the way to anything. So you didn't have any assholes like making the excuse, oh, I'm just passing by your desk. Oh, I'm just going to drop it. It's like
it's the least law office, and therefore the most creative and fun.
Right. And so, and plus we can get away with stuff back there. We can be a little bit, louder. We could be a little bit, it was like a closed off room behind a hallway. So it was very, very sealed off. And so we got away with a lot of shit. And I can't believe we did. And yet the work we did was good. Like I'm still very proud of the work we did there.
It's interesting because I'm not a graphic designer. I never really had made websites. I never had made a magazine or brochures, any of that. I'd never done any of that stuff. But I said that I could.
Right.
Put on the resume that I could. And I could, and I can. But yeah, man, it's like doing that kind of work. That we did get lucky that we did get to at least experiment with creativity. But
it seemed like your boss had a respect for who you guys were.
Oh my God.
You guys got the work done, and he was like, you know what? Like, he had a soft spot for you.
I think we owe it to call him out. Scott Warmoth he's an attorney in what would you say? Well, City of Industry, but he has offices all over Southern California and whatnot. And it's like this guy. You meet him and you think like he's like 6'3", like fucking big, like intimidating attorney. Like he looks like the fucking Kingpin from Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's a good description. Yeah,
and he's very intimidating. But like working for him, I think about a month into the job, I realized, oh my God, this guy is like super chill and down to earth, and he's very, very smart. And like in many ways, he was someone who I wanted to be. Like I admire that he was wealthy off of his own business, that it was all new money. So like, it was like he built this amazing life, you know, that was all him. And I thought that was so inspiring and whatnot. And then once he found out that we were doing the YouTube videos, like he told me one night, he was like, you know, before I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to go into, I think he said he wanted to be a comedy writer, or he had interest in comedic writing.
Right. That's what I remember.
And so I suddenly realized that I didn't have to hide the YouTube channel from him anymore, which for years I was hiding the channel from him.
Which, by the way, is a very different experience than a lot of people have. Like, big time kudos to him for...
Oh, no, he's a forward thinker.
Yeah. And I know, and I mean, you guys have said nothing but
positive things about it. The fact that a law firm had a department for marketing, which might sound like, oh, obviously, but no, not really, not at his level, because he's not a mass corporate, you know, tons of... No, it's a pretty small product, even though 40 people worked in that company?
I would say, like, generally speaking, when you think of a law firm, I would say he's a medium to large sized firm. Like, they
usually hire out.
Yeah.
Lawyers usually hire marketing people to come really quick and then do it, but he had a department settled for that. I was like, that's forward thinking.
No, he was, and
but the point that I want to make real quick about him is that a lot of people who have serious dreams like that, and they don't achieve them, and they give them up for whatever reason, later when they encounter people with the same dreams, they're very angry. And they actually squash those other people's dreams.
Possibly.
I've personally experienced a good deal of that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have, where it's just like you run into someone who's like, I wanted to be that, and because I didn't, you can't either. And it takes a big person to instead say, I respect that dream, and I'm gonna respect you for it, and I'm even gonna help you a bit.
I never thought of it like that.
But that is a truth right there.
That is true. No, I never thought of it that way. He was so. Here's the thing. Not only was he. Like, did he applaud the videos? Because he brought me into his office and he told, I forget how the conversation went down, but it was very embarrassing at first, because I was like, oh yeah, that's me in the video. But then once I realized that he thought it was clever, then I was like, oh. And I'm like, well, have you seen, I was like, have you seen that? I have other videos, Scott, like if you want. And it was also such a relief that I no longer had to hide the YouTube channel from him. But not only was he approving of it, he started supporting it. Like, he would give me the keys to the office late at night so we can shoot sketches after hours, you know, in his office. Like, he would give us.
That's pretty goddamn supportive.
Oh my God. He would, and he would watch the videos. He would, like, the next day at work, he would come up to me and, like, he would just walk up to me, no matter what I was doing or who I was talking to. Like, he would make, like, just everything would stop, and he'd walk up to me and, like, just tell me what he thought of the video. And it was kind of cool that, like, I was having these dialogues with him now. It's like, oh wow, nice. And if it wasn't for him being so supportive of the YouTube videos, right? Because if he could,
a patron,
he could easily have been like, "No, you're taking too much time shooting these videos. You should be working more."
He could have very easily.
He knew that I would be editing during the work day. Like, God. He knew I would be taking time at work to edit. He had to. And so if he wasn't so forgiving and so supportive of I don't even think we'd be here today. Like, if there's no way in hell I could have been, like, a very good employee.
I'm gonna go down on that and say you're right. That things would have been different. You still would have had.
But things would not have been as smooth.
No, not
at all. So yeah, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for. And you know what sucks is that I've been fired from just about every job I've worked. This is the only job that I've ever walked away from. And it sucks because you always dream of a good quitting story. One day when I'm not fired from a job and I get to quit on my own, I'm going to tell people what I think of them, and I'm going to fucking tell my boss to get fucked. But then who knew that the job I ended up having to walk away from, you know, was with a boss that was just super compassionate and very forward thinking. It's like it sucked. It sucked having to like the day that in fact, he even called me into his office. I didn't have to tell him. He just asked me straight up. He said, "So, like, how much longer are you going to be here? Because I know you don't have much longer." And I just told him, I was like, well, I don't know. I'm hoping maybe by the end of the year. And I ended up staying much longer than I thought I would, because there were just little odd jobs that he wanted help with, and I would just come in and do them. And at that point, it wasn't even about the money anymore. Like, I would just because it wasn't easy to sever those ties.
No, yeah, you say it. I can definitely.
It's also a responsibility. He was losing too. losing me and you, and suddenly they had no marketing team.
And in a way, I felt indebted to it. Like I didn't
for sure. It's the least we
like
did. I still owe him a project or two.
Yeah, because Gabe and I we pretty much worked hand in hand with many projects, and so to lose both of us, it was first me, and then just a few months later, Gabriel, where we're gone like that. And just as mysteriously as we arrived, we were gone into the night. But no, that was I think the jobs I've worked before the law firm. I know with you, Gabe, you've worked some really shitty ones too. I've definitely worked a handful of just really horrible places. I don't know what was the first job you ever worked, Gabe? I think actually the first job all three of us worked was the same job, wasn't it? Was that your first job?
What?
The knives?
Oh my God!
That was not my first job, but it was one of them.
It was one of my first. No, my first was a paper route as a 17-year-old.
Oh my word! Actually, you know what?
But the Cutco knives, man. Let's all just say I think everyone who's listening has also sold Cutco knives.
Oh my God!
I didn't last that long though because I didn't like
it either. No, we all made one sale.
Yeah.
I made about
to my grandmother, by the way. I felt horrible. I remember I still one of the biggest was selling to my grandmother.
Man,
$60 knife.
Oh God, I conned a lot of my family too.
Yeah. I didn't con shit. It just felt bad.
I knew I was conning them when I was doing it. I'm like, I'm selling to my family. That's what that's
Cutco, just their whole business model. I'll bet like all their revenue is from selling the fucking kit to the salesperson.
Family, yeah.
Like you need to spend $180 to buy the kit that you can then use.
That's right. They made us pay for the.
I didn't buy the kit. I didn't buy the kit.
Really?
I used it because it was just like the basic one. Yeah, just literally the borrow. They did let me borrow.
What the fuck? They gave me some pro bono treatment, motherfucker.
You had to buy the kit?
Yes, we had to buy that fucking shit.
Two-part. I mean,
which was a good deal.
Yeah, but now you still have those Cutco knives, which are the best knives.
Well, let me tell you. You know what? As much as I hate to say it, as much as I hate the Cutco. Well, it wasn't Cutco that I hated. It was Vector Marketing, wasn't it?
Vector Marketing. That's what they labeled it as. I went to a Vector Marketing interview and ended up Cutco.
They were very hush-hush about it being called like I remember once we started, like I never heard the word Vector again. And whenever I brought it up, they were like, don't say that.
That's an interesting point. Is that like a pyramid scheme trying to hide itself?
I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this so shady? Anyways, food for thought, guys. Any of you working there. But
I could go.
Just everyone watch out just a little bit.
Don't work for that.
I mean, it's one thing for a pyramid scheme, but it's another one when they're a pyramid scheme that sells knives. They're very dangerous and they're armed. So don't misbehave because of this podcast. No, I remember I made a couple sales. I sold to a couple different family members, and I just realized.
Is that a sale?
Is it a sale or is it a charity?
Yes.
Right?
I'm going with the latter.
Anyways, I just fucking hated it. But I will say, as much as I hated the Vector Marketing aspect of it, I will say they're some of the best knives I've never.
Oh, I did have a quitting story for that.
Oh. When you quit Vector?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Because the leader of my office was this, and I knew immediately that she came, this is not the bad part of it, but she came from a rich family, and she sold, she did the highest bracket at the beginning. You know, if you sold that first week a certain amount, they'd give you more.
Oh, I remember. They would give you a little incentive. Oh, you got the garlic press.
So she did it all in the first week. But then her story was a little fishy when it was family and friends and their extent. It was we just got to keep talking to family. It was no, you had a whole community that was buying a shitload. And that's how.
And they were rich.
Exactly. Give me a break that you somehow figured out the sweet spot of sales. No, you just had the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And,
exactly.
And so I had that kind of whatever. And then I sucked. So anyways, I'm quitting. And then I'm walking out. And she walks out, and I kind of quit before the meeting.
Yeah.
So then as she walks, she's kind of walking out with me, and she sits down. And oh no, I'm telling that wrong. I walked in to quit. It was a different shift. I worked in the daytime. This was a night shift. So I walk in, and kind of in front of other people, it was just this isn't going to be for me, and I just wanted to last. I just needed my paycheck to last thing.
Right.
And kind of inappropriately.
Right.
And then she, but not really. And then she said, she's like, wow, I'm sorry. This is wrong again. Okay, we'll fix this. But, okay.
You just tell it how you remember it. With
all
your flaws.
No, because they aren't the flaws. I'm making it seem like I had anything wrong. I didn't have anything wrong. For some reason, I was there at night, and I think I was just picking up the check, but she wasn't the one dealing with me. It was just the assistant or something. Uh-huh. So as I'm walking out of her office, so I haven't engaged with her at all. I'm just walking out. She says to the people as I'm walking out the door, well, what did she fucking say? She said something that was so passionate. Like, it was putting me down.
Okay.
As I'm walking,
there goes a quitter or something like that.
Like, there goes a quitter or something like that. And I remember just turning around and looking at her. And I know at this point I had like engaged the room. Everybody's looking at me. And they know that I'm looking at her because I heard what she said.
Oh, no.
And I look at her and I say, you know what? You really are a beautiful human being. You know that? And I walked out. And to me, I remember looking at everybody else and they all smiled at me. And I remember thinking, I feel like later on she's going to question if she is. And I know that I just planted in everybody's room right now to think about that. Is she? That question now, it lingers in that room a little bit. And I was like, you're a piece of shit, lady. Don't fucking treat me like a point to be made because I fucked up. Like, no, you got nothing on me. Mm-hmm. Anyways, and by the way, I might not have responded to that specific thing. It was just something like that.
Maybe I cried a little bit, but I think she got the point.
Maybe I cried and screamed. No, but I turned around and just gave her a big compliment, but was very passionate, sarcastic about it.
Gabriel,
nice burn.
That's actually not a good.
He's a true artist, though. Gabriel, even his insults are romantic.
Well.
Interesting.
That's.
I think that shitty jobs are really important. One of the main things that they kind of make you confront like that is just reality. It's just like you can, when you have dreams in school, it's so outside the realm that what you're going to need to do to accomplish your dreams, and what your dream, even the context of what your dream lives in, is so outside the context of school and like what you and what you're gonna have to do to get there. That I think a shitty job is the first dose of like, oh my god, wait, am I gonna have to like navigate egos and do some like shit that I don't really enjoy sometimes, like, and wait a minute, is this a trap that I could fall into just doing more and more and more of? Whoa, this is a different equation.
The trap part, you could keep, because you see it too happen to other people. Like, oh yeah, you've been working at that same place for 5 years and you didn't want to work there from day one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the earlier you get a dose of, I need to make sure that I get my shit together. That if I, and maybe your priorities change, maybe your balance changes, maybe you realize like, actually, I didn't consider this particular job to be shitty, and it affords me a lot of family freedom, et cetera. So maybe that all works for you. But yeah, it's good to have that early where you're just like, whoa, if I hate this, I need to make sure I don't do it very much. I need to get out of it. Yeah. But yeah, it's shitty jobs for me. It's like, I always like while I hate them in my memory in a way, like I'm really appreciative of them in the same way that like I'm appreciative of a bad relationship where it's just like, you know what, thank God I had that and moved on from that with a better understanding of what I need for my future.
Every job teaches you something.
Yeah.
I remember being so happy the day I got fired from Best Buy. I posted it on MySpace. I said, I got fired from Best Buy.
How do you get fired from Best Buy?
Because I got into a car accident on the way there one day.
Mobile or weak thing?
No, of course not. It was my fucking stupid whatever the fuck I drove back then. I don't remember what it was. It was a Camry, red.
That's a stupid car.
Wait, so then you crashed into what? Their partner?
It doesn't matter what I crashed into or who it was. But here's the thing. I crashed. I totaled the car. And
on your way to work.
On my way to work. And it was an SUV, by the way, with a family inside, and they flipped it over.
Whoa, what? Are you serious?
Yeah. Actually, it's like
whoa.
Broke an arm.
I was going 60. It had nothing to do with the story, but I'll just say it anyways. I was going 65 miles an hour or so, and it was right when like the highway turns into rush hour traffic. But I dropped a CD on the floor and I went down to pick it up. Oh my God. And by the time I looked up over the windshield, like over the dashboard, I remember seeing just these brake lights like coming way up to me.
You're a young driver.
Were they okay?
I was how old was I? I was about 17.
Yeah, young driver.
I was
not enough experience.
Yeah, 17 or 18. I forget how old I was. But I
were they okay?
So I hit them at that speed. They were like pretty much stopped. And so I hit them almost at full speed. And I remember that, like, yeah, it was bad. And, like, I remember the smoke clearing. There was only, I want to say there was only, like 50 feet of tire skid behind my car. So I wasn't, like, skidding for I hit the brakes, but it wasn't very long before so maybe I hit them at, like, 50 or 40 something. But I was still hitting them at really, really high speed. And I remember when the smoke cleared, because it was very like smoky outside, but between like the airbag or whatever the fuck. But when it all cleared, I remember seeing their car rocking back and forth upside down. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I've killed someone. And I remember I couldn't open my door because my car was so crunched that the door wouldn't like open. So someone had to like help me. They like pulled the door open. And it was traumatizing. It was very scary. And
I'm listening to this right now, being like living through it. It's like that the feeling that you just possibly killed. You probably convinced that you did kill someone. That must have been horrifying.
So it was a mom and her mom. So it was a mom and her mom, and I think there were two kids in the back seat. The kids were fine. The grandmother busted her teeth. Like there was blood. I just remember seeing blood all down her face.
Oh my God.
And and I was terrified. I didn't know. I was like,
and they see this 17-year-old kid. I was putting in music.
In my Best Buy uniform.
In your Best Buy uniform.
Can you imagine how
I'd say that probably saved you. It's like you're going to work.
Can you imagine how embarrassing that is, though? I'm like this Best Buy employee on the side of the road just destroyed this car.
How are these people? How are they? What happened? Are they okay?
They were, other than the blood I saw on the mom's face.
Where did the blood come from?
It was either her mouth or her nose.
Were they in shock? Were they fighting? Were they angry? How could you do
they didn't really even look at me. I think the grandmother looked at me and shook her head disappointed at one point, but that was about it. And like the police really didn't let us talk to each other. They really were just like keeping us away from each other. But so anyways, that's all leading up to why. Anyways, I got into an accident. Okay, that's all you need to know. I totaled my car, and so I was late to work, and they only let you be late like an X amount of times at Best Buy. And so now I'm having to take the bus, and I don't live near Best Buy. Best Buy is like 8 or 9 miles away. Like I don't
journey
for a bus trip. That's quite far.
Mm-hmm.
And being in this accident may have slowed you down a little.
Well, yeah, right. Well, so just going forward, I had to start taking the bus to work until I could save up enough money to get a new car. But you can imagine how many times I was late because I misguided. I didn't know the bus routes. I didn't know. Right. And back then,
because to get there on time, you have to get there really early,
right?
Because then that's how you prepare.
But then I was also going to school at the time. I was going to, and so I didn't have the convenience of being able to leave hours in advance. I didn't have friends who could drive me there, and Uber was not around back then, and we didn't have taxis in Livermore. The only way was the bus, and I didn't know. So just I think I was late 3 times, and so the third time I came in, and they were just like, yeah, here's your check, and so on and so forth. So
God! Wait, so this is just. So
let's go back to you killing 2 children.
Right. Yeah. And in like, yes, this accident happened.
It did. But it was horrible. I haven't thought about it.
But you were fired from Best Buy just for being regular late.
Right.
Yeah.
From the bus.
Right.
Well, yeah, I wanted to say they let you be late. Yeah, right. From the bus. Like they let you be late like 3 or 4 times, and so like the first time I was late was the accident, and then the other 3 were just over the course of time going. Right. I think it was like over the course of the next 2 weeks, just going to work by bus. Over that time I was late like another 3 more times,
right.
And so I was just it was an insult to injury. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, how could this get any worse? And yeah, but. Yeah, and then after that, I worked at a hotel for 6 years. And that was not fun.
Where you also gravely injured
families,
right?
On a regular basis.
No, it was interesting working at a hotel because you get an in-depth look at people's personal lives. People are home from work, they're home from traveling, they're home to take off their clothes and eat food and be relaxed, and you're there to be there when they get home. And so it's weird. You're seeing like a very vulnerable side of these people. They're checking in, they're removing their armor of the day, and they're confiding in your place as like their
sanctuary.
Yeah, their sanctuary for the evening. So that was it taught me how to build rapport with people really quick. That I liked because it wasn't necessarily a customer service job where you handle a transaction, they're gone. You're being like a host to them almost. Right. You're who they call in the middle of the night.
In lieu of your family and home, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly, the guests, you call them at the hotel, the ones that I had a good connection with, it was really a lot of fun because we had a lot of regulars that came in town like every week. But it was a horrible like job in the sense that they get paid nothing. I think it was $10 an hour, $11 an hour maybe. And it was like,
that's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I know.
Not when you're working like 20 something hours a week. I didn't work. No,
I'm with you on that. But it's like a shame that like this. We'll talk about minimum wage another day.
I know. But that was not a fun not a fun experience. And 6 years of that, fucking hell. I mean, it was lucky because we had a place to shoot videos. Like it was when my boss was not there for the weekend or whatnot, I'd steal the keys and we'd shoot something in like on the roof or in the conference room, or we would shoot. Like it was a really cool place to get stuff shot. And then on my shifts, I would just take the graveyard shifts overnight when all the guests were asleep. And so I would have no one to tend to. So I'd just be editing what we shot like behind the counter. And that was really fun, actually. I kind of missed that. Like it made editing seem wrong. Like like I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Like you're like saving time. It's like you're doing two jobs at once.
I'm basically getting paid to do
every now and again at the law firm. I would do personal things because when you're out at an office job, just because they say that you have to be there for 8 hours doesn't mean that your daily task takes 8 hours to do. Even if I wanted to work ahead of time on something, it just sometimes you have time. And so I would kind of fill it up with my own shit. And it always felt like, like you were like double. I don't know. I just felt like even like I'm getting more things done because I could have been at home after work doing it. Now I can do it. I don't know. It's maybe that's,
I know. And the company's like, could you start on tomorrow's work? And you're like, that's for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's exactly. I always felt like
that's for tomorrow. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no. You can't beat the same creative bush at this all for me. I can't. Like if I feel like I've done enough for something and I have a week to do it, then I've done enough for it.
Scott never drove a hard whip on us. Like,
no,
we never.
I'm sure we. Never mind. I don't want to go back to that because we said great things, and I want to.
We admitted to a lot of wrongdoing.
We've already admitted to a lot of wrongdoing. That we definitely fucked up, man.
No, we fucked up, of course.
We
but
did.
I never
and for our own irresponsibility. It's not like it wasn't like he had every reason to crack us. Sometimes, man, for real.
He could have done it. Like he could have been much harsher on us. I honestly think.
A lot of his current employees are going to hear this and be really mad at him.
I know.
And make some demands that will ruin Scott.
Why you not tell me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh my god! If anyone from the firm is listening to this,
explain. We worked at a
Chinese law firm, and I'm not talking about.
So that wasn't racist.
I'm not talking about
was,
Chinese
a
representation.
I'm talking about
exactly
Chinese. Yeah, exactly.
It's not my fault.
That was. Hey, you know what? I think it's funny.
It's definitely fun to do. Like I remember,
it's a fun accent to do.
I remember after watching because I like voices. I like I Scottish ones, British ones, Hispanic ones. Yes. But then after I watched Black Panther, I started doing the Black Panther. The baby, why are you coming to me with these things? And then it's like that's a fucking amazing, fun voice to do. And I remember some people were like, "That's racist." And I'm like, "Why is that one racist?" But when I do the fucking Scottish one. That's or any other, or any other one,
or
like
Chinese,
yo,
or the.
I
guess the Chinese one is racist.
I thought that voice was amazing. I thought that voice was so specific.
You know what? It is a fun voice.
Super fun voice to do. You're racist because you fucking.
I can't do that well as Gabriel, but I tell you what.
Come on,
it's fun.
Try it at home.
It's Sebastian, the lobster voice. From The Little Mermaid.
I don't know. I just think that's like self-reflection or self. What do you got? Mirroring when people say things to you when it's actually themselves that are self-projecting. Where it's like, don't give me your bullshit. I do voices.
You would only do this voice if you were trying to mock a race.
Exactly.
There are certain accents that I cannot get away with on YouTube. This one. Also, the accent is also. I can't do the deaf one.
Yeah, what other ones are you not allowed to do?
Down syndrome, which I'm not that good at, but that's another one like this. No, I can't do it. But you know what I mean. That's another one that I'm not allowed to do. I'm not allowed to. What's another accent that I'm not allowed to do?
Even after saying what I just said and hearing what you just did, I'm like, whoa, buddy. Hold it down now. No, I get you.
But see, it's like God, some of them are some funny ideas. But you just can't get away with them. You know what?
Not today.
Not today. Certainly.
Actually, maybe you don't always want to get. Like sometimes when people do it, it is kind of fucked up.
It is
for sure. It's like the same thing can be done in wrong ways.
Oh yeah, so big time. And you know what? Maybe this will be another episode, but like it's that state of ignorance where you're like, wait a minute, like I can even if you feel that it's wrong, but you don't understand why, but especially when you don't feel that it's wrong, but you hear that it is and you don't understand why, it's like, can we have this conversation like in real time without, like, how can I get educated without being blasted?
Right.
There's an interesting point here because there's a lot that like we might want to say and dive into at this, and we stay away from politics a bit.
Yeah, man.
But this is a very interesting topic,
especially
where it's like,
especially what we do. Especially what we do. I wouldn't. Yeah.
Like this is off shitty dreams or shitty jobs and dreams, but like I'm a fan of the Washington Redskins because I come from there, and it's like that. I can understand to a degree how it's racist to say red skins. And then I can also say, but damn, I don't understand it in the same way that a lot of people say that it is. And I have a very difficult time having the conversation with anyone about it.
Oh man. I mean, we got a whole conversation about the Redskins.
Oh, actually, you know what?
We got a whole conversation about foreskins.
All right, that's next time.
Circumcised skin. But no, you got. I honestly, I'm glad that we are all here. I'm glad that whatever shitty jobs we have taken in the past, whatever shit we've had to sell on the streets or to our families, or whatever cubicles or desks we've had to sit behind.
What dicks we had to suck.
Whoa, there! I only sat on mine. But no, what I'm saying is, whatever shitty path the three of us have had to take, I'm glad to let here, because this is a cool job. We get to do podcasts and we get to make YouTube videos and we get to live in the world of Hollywood and make believe. It's so much fun.
And like in kind of closing thoughts, what really made that dream a reality, or like, and the way you even get close to reality is just by doing it. Like the path to the path to this being viable had to come from you just doing it, even when it wasn't, paying any bills. And that's the main takeaway, or one of the main takeaways, I think, is like shitty jobs. You immediately, as soon as you're like out of school and you have access to a job, it's not like very rarely do you immediately have access to your dream job, and it forces you to realize, wait a minute, I only have this right now, and I want something else. How do I get there? And that's the journey of life, and really, the only way you're going to get there is one step at a time, and by doing it. So
by keep doing it too. Persistence. That's like that movie we saw, the McDonald's movie. What was that called?
The Founder.
The Founder.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
The whole message behind that movie was persistence.
He was kind of an asshole.
He was kind of an asshole, but he was a persistent asshole.
Yeah, amazing. I love
failed entrepreneur 20, 30 times and then a pretty big hit.
Right.
Yeah. Well, anyways, regardless of that movie was a good movie or not, that's up for you guys to decide. But for now, I would like to give a big, big thank you to my co-host, Gabriel Gonzalez here.
You too, man. You too.
Get out of here. And Jonathan Hinman over to my right. And over to you guys at home. I hope that you keep chasing your dreams. And you know what? Yeah, just run at full force. No matter how many years it takes, because the diamond could be right around the corner, and it could be a meth rock. So
pay your rent, do what you have to, but after your shit job, like, stay energized, do what you want,
stay jazzed.
Make it happen. You got it. Yeah. It's tough. It's not supposed to come easy.
Do some jazzercise. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Don't kill yourself.
Just don't. And hey, that's like always a message worth reiterating.
Anyways, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you whenever you want to let me back in your life again. Have a good night.